Hello, welcome back to Blender LIVENODING. In this episode, we're gonna continue from the last video. So previously we made this kind of very simple 16 legs octopus creature using SpaceChalk, and then we exported the animation as Alembic. And in this video, we're gonna use this character, bring it into animation nodes, and try to offset it using nodes. So let's save this real quick. This is gonna be AN Alembic offset advanced. We actually have done this in the past, but in the past we have to use the looping and stuff. But today we can actually simply use we don't need to use loop, and in animation nodes you can do all kind of vectorization. So this is gonna be pretty simple, really. And so this object is animating, right? Because it's Alembic. This is 100 frames, and we have this as a modifier. And this modifier is actually deforming the mesh, actually. And with this modifier, you will see that I will now quickly create like some instance of these objects. So object instancer, and I will make, let's try just making 6 of this creature. Select this object, and we're gonna use deep copy and copy full objects. So we have 6 objects now, and we want to use maybe object transform output. And we're just gonna scatter it, or let's use the matrix. Distribute matrix. No, I'm just gonna use random vector. Keep it simple. So random vector, and we have, did we decide 5 or okay? Let's make it 6, and then connect that to that guy. So we have this creature at 6 random positions. This is the master. Okay, the master, I will hide it. So this is the instance object 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they are all still animating. They are all animating using the same Alembic data. We kind of want to do a little bit of offsetting, and luckily the Alembic modifier actually provide us with that. So we have, you see, the data is currently being used by 7 users. For each object, we actually need to make it a single user copy. So I don't know, at this moment, we need to do it manually. You can use Python script to do this. Normally with modifier, when you use animation nodes object instancer, it will actually make the data unique for each instance. But Alembic is slightly different. I don't know why. Maybe it's by design. Maybe it will change in the future. But Alembic data is not easily made as single user. But anyway, I already did it just now. Only 6 objects. I can do it manually. And then the next thing I want to do is to override frame. So this is a frame override. And for each creature, I can have this frame override. Again, this thing, I'm doing it manually. But it's recommended to use Python maybe. And or you can use animation nodes as well to just turn on and off this modifier. Now each creature is actually slightly different. It's not animating yet. Because now this frame number is really controlling the data for each creature Alembic. So we need to access we need to get to the frame attribute of this object. If we look at it, this is something strange I found about Blender sometimes. See, you are changing property attribute of this modifier, and then you look at it here, it says dpy.data.cache files, etc. Now, in order to access the like a modifier for each object, because we want to use the object attribute output of animation nodes for each and every object. In order to do that, we need to have the right path into this guy, into this frame. If you look at here, it says all this data it doesn't actually work. If you try to put in cache cache file, and it's not gonna work. We need to find the exact path to the data. So I will use a bit of Python here. I'm gonna save it just in case it crashes. So in order to do that, I will use ppy.data objects, and I'll get a single object, just alpha 0, for example. So this is our object, for example, our creature. That's a single object, and I know that for every object we can access the modifier, and for each modifier we have this mesh sequence cache. And for mesh sequence cache, we actually have this cache file and frame or override frame. I think it's called frame. There you go. That's actually the path to the data. So object modifier, blah blah blah. So I will just simply copy this path. I think I talked about this in my older video. Now, okay, it says lists have a different length. Okay, that's okay. We're gonna use like a random number, for example. And with this random number, how many do we need? We just use the same number here, generate some value, and randomize it. And this is supposed to work. Okay, because we have 100 frames of data. So now I think our setup is complete pretty much. Let me quickly make this a little bit more interesting. Yeah, I like this non-photorealistic look. Matte cap, ambient occlusion, looks nice. And you know, if we increase the number, it will still work. We can randomize the position. This guy should animate properly if we set up the frame number here. Currently, it's just like a random number for each creatures to override the Alembic data. But I think ideally what we want is not a random number for each. You see the number is changing. So that's not what we want. We actually want this number to be like a repeating value in a way. I can trick it using a vector wiggle, for example, to generate number of vector wiggle and just use this number. I'm just gonna use one of this vector into this value. Run these animations. I need a frame, and this vector wiggle should actually generate like a number for each creature. Yeah, sometimes it goes over between 0 and 100. This guy goes over it. Probably I need to remap it or something. So if I'm not wrong, this vector wiggle is now generating value between -100 and 100. Supposedly, we can really just map the range from -100 and 100 to 0 and 100. So by doing that, I think every creature is now wiggling differently at different fashion. So this is a quick way I can set this up. A better way is really for this 100 frames. You want the 100 frames to be some kind of looping frames, and after they are actually looping, you can kind of add delay offset using animation nodes. And this is actually quite complex, but I try to make it as simple as possible. See, we are dealing with 6 creatures, 6 objects being instanced, and now we are offsetting 6 creatures. We are offsetting the Alembic data for each creatures, and then yeah, this is the result. I know it's probably not not pretty yet, but you know, you get the idea. Later on with these creatures, currently, yeah, unfortunately with Alembic, and it doesn't actually work with object instancer of animation nodes. I mean, it doesn't make each data unique by default. You kind of need to use Python for that, maybe. So if I increase the number, I need to kind of make this. So let's say I'm increasing it to 10. Okay, now I have 10 creature. I need to kind of click on this guy one by one. But after I click that, suddenly the setup works. Although if you have like, we have so many creatures, it's gonna be like some kind of noise anyway, and our eyes cannot tell the difference whether they are animating like looking like the same or not. So this guy is not moving at all. Wonder why. What is this guy? Alpha number 10. Okay, it's animating now. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. This is how you might want to set up Alembic animations, you know, like a bake Alembic animations and animation nodes, and then do a little bit of offset to the frame, do the frame override. I think this is very, very powerful. It's good for a lot of effects. Maybe it's not like a game AI where you can have different behavior for different character, but this is more like kind of like limited in a way, in a sense, limited, but also already pretty powerful, because if you make this, if you're using Blender Particle, for example, and then you animate this creature, you make like thousands of these creatures, and then they kind of look like real anyway. If it's depends on what your animation, what type of animation you're doing. But if you want, for example, like make a character that's sitting down and then, you know, like doing a wave, you know, like standing up wave, this is actually becoming very easy to do using animation nodes. So yeah, I might try to do that next time, but that's pretty much it for this live coding. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you have any question or feedback, suggestion, I'll read it and try to answer it. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.